Hello everyone and welcome to another video, not from my narrowboat. I am staying with a friend in London at the moment because of all the posting that I have to do. If you're new here, for some context about that, I did a Kickstarter back in February for a tarot deck. It is called the Witchy Kitchen tarot deck and it is linked below because I now have all of the components to put it together. The printing has been done. I've done everything that I need to do. Now we are on to the posting stage and I have over 500 parcels to post out. That wouldn't be practical being on the boat. I couldn't get things delivered, couldn't get the printing elements delivered, couldn't get the booklets, the cards, the boxes, the packaging elements, can't get any of those delivered. And I'm quite a little way from a post office as well. So this way, if I stay here for a couple of weeks, I can just post and pack every single day. I've sent about 100 in the last couple of days. So yeah, we're getting through them. So if you are waiting on your Witchy Kitchen tarot deck, rest assured it is on the way. I actually had a very different video planned for this week, but because of how busy I am, I just don't have the time. You can see my eye literally twitching because I'm so tired because I'm like not sleeping at the moment. There's a lot going on. I'm very manic. It's all good stuff. So, you know, I'm very, very happy. There's a lot of amazing things coming up and I'm doing a lot of planning, making a lot of stuff, doing the posting. I'm running around like no one's business right now and my mind is racing every single night, so I'm finding it hard to sleep. But like I say, it's all with good stuff, good news, so I'm happy. The videos that I had in mind to come up for the next couple of weeks are going to take a lot more work and I just don't have the time to do it right now. I don't want to rush them because I think they're going to be really good videos and I want to give you the best version of that video that I possibly can give you. But I thought instead of skipping a week, why not do a Q&A? Because I can't even remember the last time I've done a Q&A. There's so many new faces here. My channel like tripled at the beginning of the year or over the last few months. And we haven't really sat down and like gotten to know me and told you who I am and where my interest in witchcraft came from and my story basically. So I opened up my Instagram to questions and I made a post here on YouTube where you could ask me some questions. But just to give you a bit of context in case you're new here or you really don't know who I am, my name is Laura. I bought a narrowboat back in 2020. Before that, I was living in London. I had studied illustration and visual communication at Brighton. So I've lived in Brighton a couple of times and I've also lived in York, but I'm originally from Shropshire. I grew up in a pub. I'm 36. I like drawing, I like illustration, I like all things witchy, all things esoteric, and I love food. So yeah, I've spent the last few years dedicating my time to learning about the magical properties, the folklore, the stories behind plants, herbs, ingredients, spices, and I kind of marry that with a form of intention setting. And now that you kind of know the background, let's get into some questions. These are in a really random order, so apologies if they don't really make flowy sense. Did you train as an artist? What job did you do before doing what you do now? Yeah, I mean, technically I did train as an artist because I went to university to do illustration, visual communication, but I didn't do that much art while I was there. Before I went to uni, and I went to uni late, I was 24 when I started, I was into drawing, into painting, and I really didn't like or appreciate any kind of what I would call modern art, any kind of like conceptual art. I was really like staunchly not about that, and I even didn't want any of my art to really mean anything because I was so like against that world, that the idea of my work having layers of conceptual meaning beyond just like it looks pretty or it goes with a narrative story, it just didn't gel with me. But then I went to university and I fully drank the Kool-Aid and ended up doing like video art, and you know, I didn't do that much drawing for like 3 years and beyond, but I think it was a really good expanse of my practice in art because like I can draw, but I'm not the best drawer in the world, and I can paint and I'm not the best painter in the world. So it was a way of exploring other mediums where I could actually focus on what I did enjoy, which is the creativity, composition, telling a story, And yeah, I just absolutely fell in love with video, and I'm still making videos to this day. I mean, it's not as, you know, conceptual as it was at uni. That was, you know, there was a lot going on there. But, you know, even at uni, I did a project about tarot cards. I did a whole video project where I kind of created the major arcana. But yeah, I made some really cool stuff at uni that I'm still really proud of. But it's just so funny that when I started, I was like, I'm just going to draw. They're not going to make me do anything conceptual. And then I just went completely the other way. I'd love to know what journey led you to your houseboat. So I don't know why I've ended up on a boat. It was my dream. I don't know where the idea really came from. I think it's something that I'd always been interested in. I mean, I loved walking the canal in London because I used to live in East London. So walking up and down the canals, up and down the towpaths was like a daily ritual for me. And I loved seeing the boats, and I just thought everyone on the boats looked so cool. And I was like, I want to be part of that community. So the community was a massive draw for me. The idea of just being in this little club that you, when you get a boat, you get access to. I mean, it's not quite like that, and boat life is a lot more difficult than it seems, a lot more difficult than I thought it would be, but it's been the making of me. So I absolutely still love boat life. I'm so happy that I've done it. It was a dream come true. And though I don't really know where that dream came from, I did find out after I got the boat that my grandparents had narrowboats in the 60s in the Midlands. So maybe it's in the blood. Hi Laura, what's it like being a witch in the UK? Do you feel free to practice as you please, or do you feel judged in certain spaces? Can't wait to receive your book. I'm so excited for the release. Oh, thank you so much, Kelsey. I don't have names on all of these, but Kelsey left her name within the text. So thank you so much for buying my book, first of all. That means the absolute world to me. If you go to any small town in the UK, pretty much anywhere, there will be a woo-boo shop. There'll be a plinky shop selling incense and crystals. And I think having one of those in my local area was a big impact on me, because we had a shop called Solstice, and I'd save up all my pocket money and go there every Saturday and just buy like a crystal or a book. So I don't especially feel judged, not by anyone that I would deem important. I mean, it's definitely an alternative lifestyle. There are misconceptions about what it is and what it means, for sure. But I think witchcraft, or the concept of witchcraft, is a really growing community. And it's had, you know, it's had its few resurgences in the past over the years. But this like modern invocation feels like there's a real collective understanding of what it is and what it means. I mean, obviously everybody has different ideas of what it is and what it means, but there seems to be some kind of cohesive, very like woman-led community emerging, and I'm all about that, because I feel like so many of the resurgences, you know, the spiritualist movement, the Wicca movement, all cults ever, I'm not saying that, you know, witchcraft is a cult, but people think it is. They've all been sort of run by and popularized by men. So this sort of very female-focused thread of paganism feels really aligned with me, and I'm just happy to see it happening. They started putting respect on the name of the witch, and I enjoy that. A few of your favourite movies. I absolutely love film. That's one massive interest of mine, and if I do ever start a Patreon, which I would love to do, I'd love to do like a witchy film club where we watch a witchy film or an esoteric film every week and then talk about it. Because I love horror. What I love about horror films is that it's never about what it's about. I think horror makes high art accessible to the masses. I think that's why we love horror, because it is all about like symbolism and tension. And yeah, the best horror films are the ones where you go back and read about it, and all of these little Easter eggs and these little moments of symbolism have happened, and you haven't really noticed while you're watching it, but then the more you read about it, the more interesting the film becomes. What are my favourite films? I love Tarantino films, always have. I love Disney. I mean, who isn't a Disney fan? My favourite film though, this is a bit of a rogue one, but I actually think my favourite film is A Clockwork Orange. I watched it way too young, but it had a real impact on me. The style of storytelling, I love Stanley Kubrick's direction. I also love Titanic. I'm sorry, but I think Titanic is the best film ever made. It is a perfect film, and I could watch it over and over and over and over again. It's It's the perfect film. Of films that have come out recently, I love Midsummer. I mean, that's so up my alley, isn't it? But yeah, I loved Midsummer when I saw it. I was like, this is just perfection. I'm trying to think of recent films that had like an impact on me. I loved Kneecap. I thought that was such a great film. I haven't seen a film like that for a long time that has that like snappy direction, snappy storytelling, little bits of animation, and then obviously the story behind it as well is incredible. So yeah, very into Kneecap. That was a great film. You talked about starting your magic journey around 10 years old. I was just wondering what the catalyst was for this. I don't know, but like I say, I think having that shop near me did make an impact on me, because I walked into that shop and I was just like, what is this? This is incredible. And I think the first like witchy book that I remember reading, not like a reference book where it tells you, you know, this crystal means this means this, but like an actual like thick book, thick for a 10-year-old, was by Fiona Horn. And I just devoured like several of her books in my very, very early teens. Yeah, 10, 11, 12, I devoured her work. And so, you know, the Wicca leanings were definitely my gateway drug into what I do now, which is why, although I am going to make a video about the problem with Wicca, I don't stamp on it too much. I can appreciate it because it was my gateway into this, and so I still appreciate everything that I learned, and I think there's still really good teachings within Wicca. What is a rule or tradition that you used to follow as a kid but you now realise was a little bit silly or unnecessary? You can also take this to mean morally and not just in a physical sense. This I thought was a really interesting question, and I should have thought of an answer before I started filming, because I haven't really sat and thought of one, but I'd love to hear your answers to that. So yeah, it's just silly traditions that you followed as a kid that you felt were kind of wrong. The ones that come to mind are not being able to draw at school. Because I'm a drawer, I've always been a drawer. I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but I used to draw during all of my classes at school, and I would get severely told off for this, but I honestly can concentrate more if I'm doodling. I worked a job where I was a charity fundraiser on the telephone, and I used to draw during that job as well, and I was told that other people were allowed to doodle, but I wasn't allowed because mine weren't doodles, they were drawings, because I could draw. That used to really annoy me. Because just because I can draw doesn't mean I should be punished because other people, like, their doodles look different to mine. So that was really silly. I wasn't a kid, I was like 18, but that was really silly. But yeah, the same thing would happen at school as well. I'd get really told off for doing any kind of drawing, and it just used to really annoy me because I can concentrate more when I'm sat drawing. But I did go to a C of E school, so there was quite a large element of like religious ceremony around my upbringing in that sense. That we weren't religious at home, but I did go to a C of E school, and I went to Sunday school and, you know, the youth club. And so we would do like Chris Dingle and their harvest festival and singing hymns and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't actually have any belief in like a deity of sorts. I didn't believe the Bible verbatim, but I loved all of that. I loved Chris Dingle, I loved the Bible, I loved all the stories. I didn't take them as gospel, but I just really enjoyed it. And now I found my own version of that, my own version of ritual and ceremony and, you know, fun spoils, because I do think it's important to human beings. I do think that's kind of a necessary part of the human being experience. Like, we obviously veer towards that. We create them all the time. We've got them in every culture. So yeah, I didn't necessarily think that those things were silly, because if you call them silly, you have to call what I do silly. What annoys me is that the people who do that stuff call what I do silly, and I'm like, we're the same thing in different fonts. Do you have a favourite season and why? Yes, absolutely, it's autumn. Absolutely, it is autumn. I wish that autumn lasted, I don't know, 6 months. I've been really enjoying the sort of warm autumns that we've been having, and I know it's probably like a sign of global warming, and I'm absolutely dying on the boat every summer now. It is far too hot in the heat waves on the boat. I literally can't be there. I've had to spend weeks not on the boat this year because it's just too hot when it's like, you know, 28, 29, 34 degrees. It's just like a hot box, and there's not much you can do. If there's no wind, if there's no through breeze, it's been very difficult to film anything this season because it's just too hot. But I do love the summer. I just wish it was slightly less warm, but I just love the coziness of autumn. And I think this is why I don't know if I could live anywhere but the UK. I love those long nights that we have, but it's still relatively warm. Those like sunsets that go on forever and ever and ever. Our sunsets last for hours if you've never been here before. So yeah, I just love autumn. And obviously you've got things like Halloween. How is dating going? So this was asked on my Instagram because I did a post recently that was talking about dating and how I basically haven't been on a date for like over 10 years. And I was talking about going, you know, giving it a try. And I did download a dating website and I did have a look around and stuff, but I just realized that I actually don't think I want to date at the moment. I think I was just a little bit bored, a little bit curious. This was during the time when my arm was still injured, so I couldn't work as much, and so I just had the time, and I thought, what should I do with it? I guess maybe I should date. I think the whole dating thing is a feeling of like, not expectation, because I don't really care what, you know, I know that my lifestyle isn't for everyone, and certain people expect, you know, why don't you date? Like, why don't you have a partner? Why have we not seen you in a relationship for so long? And to a lot of people that is like bizarre, but I still really enjoy it. I think what I'm looking for is help. More than a relationship, I think I'm looking for a partnership that would help elevate my life to where I want it to be. But my problem is, and I've said this in my last video about housing, if it's not perfect, I don't want it. So I just don't think I'm willing to, or rather I'm not excited to go on dates with someone, get to know someone, unless I'm like, you are perfect for me. But like, what is perfect? You know, it's all these problems. I don't think dating websites particularly, or apps particularly, work for me, because I look back over the people that I have ever been interested in my life. I don't think I would have swiped yes on like half of them, because a photo of someone and an abstract idea of them doesn't represent them. You need the vibes, you need the mannerisms, you need the, not the aura, but kind of the aura. So I just don't think they're gonna work for me, but we'll see. I'm not wholly closed off. I'm not closed off to the idea of like falling in love with someone. Absolutely not. I just think going out looking for it in that way feels a bit like you're filling a role, you're filling like a vacancy that you have in your life, and I don't really have that. I'm not looking for anything, but you know, if someone wants to come along and build me a house, I'm not going to say no. A place that I would like to visit. So the next place that I have on my list, because I've not done much traveling this year. I've not been out the country. I did so much traveling in 2024. I went to Seville twice. I went to Greece for 2 weeks. I went to the Philippines. I went to Norway. I went to Thailand. I went to New York for Christmas. I really traveled last year, but this year I've been nowhere. Partly because I'm trying to, you know, save money. I don't want to go crazy this year with money. I had my fun year last year, and now I need to like get sensible. This is my first full proper year like in business, self-employed small business owner. Everything's coming out this year. So last year I spent a lot of time writing the book, or you know, writing the tarot cards. I was illustrating them at the beginning of this year, but now everything's all coming out at once, and I'm doing like 11 events over the next couple of months. So I just simply don't have the time to travel right now. But when I do have the time, hopefully next spring or even next autumn, depending on how things go, I am desperate to go to Japan. I have always wanted to go to Japan, and a few of my friends have been now, and I love hearing about it, and I'm just desperate to go. It's always been one of my number one places to visit. New York was up there. I think New York was my number one destination, and I did New York and I loved it. And I really want to go back to New York for like an autumn time, because I was there when it was very cold, and I'd love to see what it's like in like end of summer, autumn, when it's not too hot. But yeah, I don't think I'll be going to the US for a couple of years. I think I want to focus on going to Japan, and I just love Europe. I'm so lucky to live in the UK because you can just like hop to Europe, but I just haven't been doing it this year. What is your favourite witchcraft ingredient and why? Definitely sweet woodruff. I love sweet woodruff. There's a really good sweet woodruff recipe in my book. Brilliant recipe. I love it. It's delicious. And sweet woodruff, the sort of magical properties of sweet woodruff is victory. And I don't know anything else that is victory. Like, yes, success, prosperity, abundance, but victory is so specific, and I just love the idea of victory. I don't know, I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. It's such an unassuming plant, and it was one of the first plants that I sort of foraged, found out about, read about the magical properties. Like, it was my gateway into what I do now. Sweet woodruff represents a lot for me, and it's just the most wonderful plant. What is your star sign? So I am a Pisces sun, I am a Leo rising, and a Sagittarius moon. I always get them confused, but I think most people, when I tell them that I'm a Leo rising, they go, mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell there's some Leo in there. I've actually just finished an ebook, which I'm going to do a full video on this because I did a massive deep dive. So this is what I do. When I'm busy, I start new projects because I'm putting off other projects and I have this like mad rush of energy. It'll last for like a couple of months. It's like a manic episode, but it's really productive and useful, so let's not mess with it. I do have times where I just do everything all at once. I'm not very good at like delegating myself across the year. I just take advantage of these huge rushes of energy and just do it all at once. I did a massive deep dive into medical astrology, the idea that our astrological sign has an impact on the body and the ailments that we suffer from mentally and physically because of those personality traits and because of the different traits, not just in your star sign, but your rising sign, your moon sign, all of your different houses. I was looking into some of the foods that perhaps we should be eating as an Aries, as a Pisces, as a Scorpio, based on, you know, the susceptibility to different ailments and the kind of foods that would have us thriving. I wrote a whole ebook about that. I've done 3 recipes for every single star sign. So I've also linked that below. I'm not really like promoting it much at the moment. I might do at some point, but I've got too much going on right now. But I just wanted to get it written and get it out because, yeah, when I get the rush of interest for something, I have to ride that wave while it's happening, otherwise I talk myself out of it later. So I did, and I might do something more lengthy about it at some point in the future, but for now it's an ebook, it's on my Etsy, and yeah, it's fascinating. Is Instagram your primary job? I realized that before this I didn't answer the question of what I've done before for a job. I've had a lot of jobs. I once went to a job interview and the interviewer described me as a loose cannon and then still offered me the job. It's the career trajectory has been very odd. I did have a stable job outside of uni for 7 years. So I left uni in 2016. I started working at this media company in early 2017. I did that job, yeah, for 7 years. I was head of Instagram for a big media company who owned lots of different brands, and so I was doing like the posting and the strategy and, you know, various bits and bobs for them, for their Instagrams, and it, you know, it was a good job. I enjoyed it. It kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end and sent me slightly insane but we won't get into that, that's fine. I now work for myself. I'm a small business owner, I'm self-employed. That's not to say that I'm making enough money necessarily doing what I do, but my lifestyle is such that my expenses, because I own my boat, I travel around, I visit friends, my lifestyle affords me the ability to be on a slightly lower income. So I'm hoping that as time goes on, my business will grow, my books will sell. This is all down to you guys, please, because, you know, I'm a relatively small content creator. I don't have millions of followers. I'm able to make it work because I have my own products. I do the very occasional sponsored post on Instagram, but it is very occasional because I'm very, very picky about who I partner with. Again, I have the luxury. I'm not like greedy about money. love money. Not saying I don't love money, because I do, but I'm not greedy about money. I think when you have a platform online, the main thing that you are selling is your authenticity. And once your authenticity starts to fall apart, I think it all starts to fall apart. I hope that I can keep my integrity with what I do. You know, if I'm blessed to grow, as I grow, I hope that I don't like lose sight of just the joy of being able to do what I want every day, and that being more valuable than money in the bank. Every single day, I'm still so grateful every day that I wake up that this is what I do. And you know, I don't have a boss. My boss is me, and it's all on me to make it happen. And that's daunting at times. Like, that is scary, but equally, I love it. Do your family support your beliefs? So I wouldn't say they don't support my beliefs. I think I was very like embarrassed about the whole thing for a long time. I don't think they necessarily understand it. I've tried to explain it, because for me, it's not that woo-woo. For me, it's more of like a psychological guidance, mindfulness, all of that kind of stuff. It's just dressed up in a way that I really enjoy. The platform that I've now created has helped to legitimize it, because if other people are interested and other people are listening, and I'm able to make it my job, and you know, I've got the book coming out, etc., I think that like legitimizes it for me. You don't necessarily get it, but that's okay, because I don't think they've ever really got anything that I do, because I have always been slightly outside of the norm. Sometimes I've been very outside of the norm. I don't think they've ever really understood my ways, but that's okay. Like for graduation, for example, I shaved my head and refused to wear a gown and wore like a big tartan poncho. I think I'm naturally rebellious. So the idea of leaving uni and having to go into a job, I was like, right, well, I guess I'm just gonna shave my head. Didn't stop me getting a job though, unfortunately. Someone's asked for skin tips. Do you know what? I'm not good with my skincare routine. I have friends who do it every single day without fail. I have a theory in life, I have a saying in life, that if you have your skincare routine together, you have your life together. And mine comes and goes. Like some days I'm really good with it, sometimes for weeks I'm really good with it, and sometimes I'm terrible. I think you don't have to do much to your skin. It's all in the genes, unfortunately. I think the creams and the retinols and all the things that we do make a difference, but I think that difference is very slight compared to like your genes, what you're born with. So I do have good skin. However, I'm a ginger and my skin is very pale, very fragile, very sensitive. So I can definitely see the effects that the sun is having on my face now. And so, you know, I might age like milk. I'm 36 now. I look slightly younger than I am, but I think that's more to do with like the shape of my face and, you know, etc, etc. It could all go downhill from here. I'm sure it will. But that's okay. I'm kind of looking forward to being an old crone anyway. I think I'm going to try and embrace the crone, because I think it looks good on other people. So, you know, it's difficult when it's on yourself, because seeing change is always a bit scary. Women have a huge amount of pressure put on them to stay looking young, which, you know, I flip between, because we all want to look good and it's scary for your face to change. But equally, I don't really want to be told how I should look. That's that natural rebellious streak where I'm like, maybe I want to be wrinkly. The main tip for your skin is not wearing makeup. And this is just a theory, like I don't have anything to prove this, but I don't wear makeup very often. I probably put on makeup maximum twice a week, because I'm lazy. Like it's pure laziness, and I just don't really care how I look that much day to day. Like when I'm hanging out with my friends and we just like going to lunch in London or going for a walk, I do just wear a big baggy t-shirt with no makeup on and looking like I just don't care how I look that much. But if I'm going to something, I will obviously pull it out the bag and put makeup on and, you know, dress up, and I love doing that. But day to day, I just don't wear makeup, and I think that really helps your skin. What is the scariest thing that you've ever done? I'm scared of heights and I'm scared of house fires. I've always been scared of house fires since I was since a child. I would go and sleep in my mum's car because I'd just get it into my head that the house was going to set on fire. I was then too anxious to be in the house, and this is when I was like legitimately a child. I don't know where that fear of burning alive comes from, but I've just always had it. And what makes me even more paranoid is that part of me thinks maybe I've got a fear of burning alive because I'm going to burn alive. Even saying that, I want to like touch some wood or do something, because it's just my biggest fear. But yeah, I'm also very scared of heights. Like I get a physical reaction to heights. The idea of them doesn't scare me that much, but I actually have a horrible physical reaction to them. Like I couldn't do any of the zip lines when we were in Thailand and the Philippines. My friends were like, come on, let's, you know, they were all doing the zip line. So they were like, come on, you don't want to trek like 3 miles. And I was like, I absolutely do. I'm not getting on that. But when I was in Bali on my own, I like jumped into a waterfall, jumped off a ledge into like a waterfall. So I was really pleased with myself for that because it took a lot. But mentally scary right now is like the biggest stage of scariness because of all these events that I've got coming up. And I'm trying to like be confident and be gung-ho, but it's scary. It just is scary. But I think it's good to do things that scare you. Like, you've got to exercise that brave muscle. There's so much about the boat that scares me as well. I'm really scared of machines. I don't drive a car. The idea of turning a key to turn on an engine makes me anxious. But I live in a machine. What folklore legends do you enjoy the most? I love all the stories of the elder tree and connected to the witches that guard the tree. The hawthorn tree is supposed to, its roots are supposed to go into the underworld with the fairies. So many amazing pieces of folklore. But recently I was listening to an episode of the Blind Boy podcast. There was a guest on who was a Shakespeare storyteller. I'm going to put her name on the screen because I can't remember her second name because I didn't plan this video. Actually, I've got the internet. I'll just check what it is. Hello? Computer, hello? Debs Newbold is the name of the guest. So she is a storyteller and she's very involved with like Shakespeare. I was actually on my way back from Stratford-upon-Avon at the time, so I was like, oh, this is good because it's about Shakespeare. She told an Aesop's fable that I have never heard before, and she told one called The Hare, or The Hare and Friends. A hare, you know, hares are very solitary creatures, very witchy creatures. I'm not gonna I want to tell you the rest of it, but I'm not gonna spoil it. What I'm gonna do is put a link below for you to listen to it, because either listen to it on the Blind Boy podcast, or I'll also leave a link to a standalone YouTube video of her telling this story. It really stopped me in my tracks. Like, I was walking while I was listening to it, and the last few lines of it, I just burst into tears, and it really resonated with me, and the message behind it, the meaning behind it, really stuck with me and impacted me, and I haven't really stopped thinking about it for the last couple of days since I listened to it. That has fast become it's my most recent favourite piece of folklore, if you can call it folklore. I think Aesop's fables, you can call them folklore. The last question is what my favourite comfort meal is. Probably beans. A kiddie meal with smiley faces and baked beans. Definitely jacket potato. For my 35th birthday, which I had in a cabin in Oslo with friends, I said I don't want a cake, I want jacket potatoes. And we baked these potatoes just on an open fire in a log cabin up in the mountains. It was incredible. And then they brought me a jacket potato with a candle in it, and I made a wish. I think there's no better meal than a jacket potato for comfort. When I was growing up in the pub, I was also obsessed with this thing that we had called mush. I may well make a recipe of it one day. So we had this thing called mush, and what it was all of these sort of pans of vegetables at the end of the day, you know, the peas, the carrots, the potatoes that had gone quite soggy and mushy at the end of a shift, because they'd just been like on the hob, ready to go at all times kind of thing. We would mush all of that together with tons of black pepper, put cheese on the top, roast it in the grill, and it just always had this really specific taste of like, I can't even describe it, but mush would be my childhood comfort meal. I mean, I was always eating it at the end of a shift as well when I was working at the pub when I was like 12, 13. Also, weirdly, a McDonald's veggie burger. I know that's a bit of a rogue one, especially for someone who's so interested in like food, etc. When my sister learned to drive, because we lived in the absolute middle of nowhere, when my sister learned to drive, she would go to McDonald's on a Saturday night and she would bring me home a veggie burger. So the taste of the veggie burger just gives me like weird childhood memory. I didn't eat the best food growing up. Like, a lot of people have asked me like, oh, do you get your recipes from like your nan or your grandma? I'm like, absolutely not. I was brought up on ready meals and pot noodles and pub food, fizzy pop. I don't think I had a glass of water until I was 25. Thank you so much for watching this video, because it was, you know, you've indulged me, because all I've done is just talk about myself for what feels like an hour. I will be back next week with a video that is very much not about me, but thank you for indulging me. Please leave me your thoughts below. Any comments are always appreciated. I read every single one. I reply to most of them. I love getting your comments and reading them. And yeah, if you want to check out the Ritual Kitchen tarot deck, I think it's only been on Etsy for like a week, and we've already sold out half of the extras that I bought. So I will have to do a restock at some point, but I'm not sure when that'll be, because I'm I'm away a lot, I'm so busy, but I'm posting right now. So even though the distribution date, like the posting date on Etsy, I think I've set it for like a week after you buy it, maybe even more, just to give, you know, to give myself time. But I'm actually posting every day at the moment, so chances are you will get it much sooner than that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and obviously order my book as well. I always forget to say that because I'm the worst marketer in the world. Ta-da! So this is my book, Kitchen Magic. Please pre-order it. It's out in like a couple of weeks, so a pre-order is as good as an order at this point. Every single pre-order adds to the potential success of the book, so thank you so much. Thank you for indulging me, for letting me talk about myself for an hour. I said this was going to be an easy video that was like really easy to edit and put up. I've done a lot of umming and ahhing and waffling, so we'll see, but hopefully this should be out on Sunday. Definitely subscribe and stay tuned over the next few weeks because I have some really amazing videos coming. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a lovely week.